She said.
Today on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we got the Week 5 matchups. It's time for Garbage Time. Welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. I am your host with the most, the best host of the show, Ron Seymour. I am joined today by the second best host, Joe McCann, and the bottom host, Ryan Warner.
Hey, Ron, are you sure about that? Because the first troll tonight is up. I'm in the market for some new fantasy contests. Starting not on time is not a good impression. Thanks, Edward Davis. If you'd like to leave the hate mail. Apparently, we had a time on YouTube.
I didn't know we had a time. I'm sorry, Edward Davis. We will do better.
I'm sorry, but the paycheck is not in the mail from Ron, so we kind of run on our own time.
That is a lie. We most likely will not do better. There's part of the reason that we are Garbage Time is because, well, we don't do anything on time.
Yeah, so why don't you let Edward know what's going on tonight since he's already, starting in hot for us. And Edward, if you like to bitch and complain to us, www.garbagetimeft.com, where you can leave a voicemail and complain that we don't start on time because you need some damn content.
That's right.
I think he left already. I'm pretty sure he left already.
I don't know. The other day, that other guy was talking to us, and it didn't say we had anyone either, though.
Oh, right?
So I don't know how it works. We probably have like 80 listeners right now, and no one's doing anything.
Anyway, Ron, tell them what we got going on tonight.
All right, so today we're going to preview some Week 5 games. We've got Defensive Dominator. We've got
DFS lineups,
Lightning DFS round. That's what we got. There's probably some more sprinkled in. And we'll allow 15 minutes of garbage time.
Because that's what we always do. All right, give us a news drop.
No.
I said do it.
Shh. I'm delaying because I wasn't ready.
News updates.
All right, so for the Thursday night.
Edward's going to be so mad at me. I wasn't ready with the news drop.
Oh, my God, no.
Oh, God, Edward,
don't yell at us, Edward. We don't want it. Christian already yells at us enough.
I know. Oh, God.
Anyway, starting for the
fragile heart.
Anyway, we'll go with our first piece of news tonight. Chris Carson is out with the neck injuries, so that means backup running back to the starting position.
It's still a really hard start for me.
Sure shit is not for me. He's the bell cow for tonight.
Yeah, but they're playing the Rams.
Yeah.
I understand, you have to start him because he's going to get a bulk of the work. They did say that they will work in Travis Homer, though. So this seems like one of those situations where everybody starts Alex Collins, and then he gets you 2 points, and then you're just upset.
Yeah, well, guess what? There's 32 starting running backs in the league, and Alex Collins is one this week, so guess what? He's a running back too by default. Someone's starting him, and guess what? In our Mega Bowl, we're starting him because we are down. The next guy on our list, Calvin Ridley, did not even make the trip to England. He is out for the week, along with Russell Gage. So again, the Jets are going up against no wide receivers 2 weeks in a row. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I'm just saying Christian McCaffery better play this week because in our auction league, those were 2 of my top 3 buys. And if I'm without both of them, I'm going to be real sad and probably lose. And I don't want to do either one of those things.
Your thoughts, Ryan?
No, just stare in the camera. That's cool. Never mind.
Yeah, no. He was
staring at looking at all the things.
He was staring at my gorgeous wall.
I was looking at something. Well, I tried to talk.
Maybe my new favorite person.
Edward, yell at us like Christian does. We'd love another guy that just comes in and fucking trolls us. It'd be fantastic.
Please do.
And leave your hate at that website I just put on the side right there. Anyway, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Calvin Ridley besides you staring at my gorgeous giant nose?
I was looking at something, and it does suck, but I think it does open the door for some other people to potentially have decent games. Some sneaky sleepers I've been kind of seeing some news on, and I'm scared to even try to pronounce this name.
Go ahead.
Olamide Zacchaeus. Did I butcher it really bad?
No, I think it's just Zacchaeus. I think. I could be wrong too, though. We'll just
Let-
call him Bob.
No, that's fucking horrible. We're not calling him Bob.
Why not?
Jesus, no. Anyway, I see what you're saying, Ryan, but sneakily the Jets have had a very good secondary, and not a lot of people understand that because they just think they suck completely on defense. Where they were struggling was offensive for. They've actually had a very good young defense where I think you're going to see a lot of value this week, and it's going to be on someone that's not going to be able to be picked up, which is Kyle Pitts. He's going to get an influx of targets and extra targets, and the opportunities are going to be there for him today because they're going to have to find somewhere to get creative besides Cordell Patterson, and he is by far the most talented player on that offense that they have.
What about Hayden Hurst? Do you see him getting any work?
They might have to give him some work. They don't have any choice.
If you're someone like, if you're in Joe's position up till this week where you were streaming tight ends on a week-to-week basis,
So I made a trade.
So two things. One,
sorry, I just had to mute you there because you interrupted Ryan twice. So, all right, go ahead.
All right, two things. One, the Jets have the 32nd ranked run defense. So they get ran all over. Two, I would not be surprised if this is the week that Wayne Gallman takes over Mike Davis as the number one running back on that team.
I do not agree with that. Yes, he is by default the number one running back there too, but who comes in as number two is the one that gets the 27 reps during the game.
But Mike Davis has still been getting between 13 and 17 rushing attempts per game.
Yeah, but it's not going to go to Wayne Gallman.
Yes, it is. Because last week he had 13 rushing attempts for 14 yards. Mike Davis did.
Oof. So brutal, but it's still not going to go to him because it's not an innovative offense. It's still going to go the other way. And the only explosive player that's going to be doing well this week is Pitts and Cordell Patterson. But, okay.
I'm not saying that he has a good game this week, but I'm saying after this week, you will see where Wayne Gallman is getting way more snaps than Mike Davis. Not Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson's still going to have his own role. Well, I think Wayne Gallman takes over that Mike Davis role, and it could potentially, because these guys want to run the ball a lot, it could potentially end up with some running back flex potential later in the season.
Not yet. I'm still in evaluation mode for that. I believe you're wrong on that take. You know, you're allowed to be wrong, though, Ron. That's why you're in last place.
I know, you do it often.
Out of the 4 podcasts. Yeah, okay. You made one good take about Daniel Jones, and I'm definitely not wrong because I'm actually getting my lineups right and winning in the league right now, unlike you currently, Mr. Adam Gase. But anyway, you are in last place. Anyway, we'll digress.
I'm not in last place.
Out of the people in this current podcast, you are.
Oh, maybe in this current. JJ's in last place. All right.
JJ's not currently on the show, so you're in
last place. JJ's in last place. Damn it.
Anyway, into our next little bit of news too. So Baker Mayfield has a partially torn labrum. Luckily, it is not throwing shoulder, but he has really sucked it up to this point. Are you guys really worried about Baker Mayfield? And is he even a quarterback too at this point?
I don't know. He suffered this in week 2. And week 3
and he's been playing like shitty.
He did not look good. Yeah. It could be nothing that is actually like coincided with one another. He could have just had 2 bad games, or it could be something. So I guess it's hard to tell because Baker Mayfield has done this before where he has monster games and then he has games where he's not looked very good. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, but I think that's really not looking good for the wide receivers currently on that team. And we'll get into that when we get into the game breakdowns too. It's something that I bring up in a concern, especially with them playing the Chargers this weekend. They're going to be relying on some other positions too. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, so he's only averaging 14 points a game. I think he's ranked like number 25 right now out of quarterback. So he's really in the bottom tier. So yeah, I don't think he's a viable starter.
He is a streamer as a QB2 if you were in 2 QB leagues.
Yeah.
Our next little bit of news, too, Aaron Jones was limited in Wednesday practice and is expected to be a full go on Sunday, but that is something to still evaluate going on to the week 2. I believe he's going to play well this weekend, but it is still something I think you need to evaluate. You guys have any concerns here?
No.
Ryan?
No.
Not really.
Limited practice, probably just veteran rest day type of thing.
And then finally, Dalvin Cook had an ankle injury. It didn't practice again Wednesday, and he has been banged up for the last 2 weeks. He has a very juicy matchup against the Lions going this week, but there is some chatter online that he may not play this weekend. That might mean that Alexander Mattison could be a good start this week, and if you could potentially see him play this week, and actually he was cut in one of our leagues, so I hope no one from the Megalo Bowl has seen this. He may be a good starter this weekend. But yeah, take a look there, see if people actually did not cut him, potentially pick him up. And if you are the owner of him and you handcuffed him to Dalvin Cook, you may be playing him this weekend. But I think regardless of the situation, if Dalvin Cook plays and you're still worried about the injury, it's too good of a matchup. You're going to have to play him.
Yeah, I think this is a messy situation. I mean, if Dalvin Cook is active, you got to play him. If Dalvin Cook is active, it's hard to play Madison. But it could be one of those things where the Vikings are up by a crazy amount come halftime, and then they take Dalvin Cook out to give him rest, and then Alexander Mattison runs most of the second half.
I'm not really going there with that kind of a thought. I don't see him as a viable number 2 running back unless Dalvin Cook is out. If he's out, he's a very top-end running back too. He's an emergency flex start, and he could get work in this game for you. But unless Dalvin Cook is actually out, I don't play Alexander Mattison unless I'm in a dire emergency.
Well, that's why I said it's frustrating because, like, if Dalvin Cook isn't out, you're not going to start him if you can help it. But
right,
then he could end up coming in the second half and getting 15 touches for 80 yards. You know what I mean?
Right. If I owned both of them, honestly, in this game, I would rather them rest Dalvin Cook for a week, and I would rather bring Madison into this game, I think, for the long-term health of him and for the fact that I wouldn't be splitting carries potentially in this game. It just could be a messy situation if Dalvin Cook ends up playing. Don't get me wrong. I think he could still do very well in this game because the matchup is here. That defense is horrid.
Yeah.
But the better situation would be is if you own both of them, which a lot of the people who own Dalvin Cook do handcuff him because of his injury history, and Alexander Mattison starting for you this week. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to bitch with either outcome because I do own both of them in our league. But if you own just Dalvin Cook, you're just praying that he plays this week unless you can find a way to coax him away from someone else. But it is a concern going forward, and I think I'd rather see them rest Dalvin Cook this week.
Yep.
Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page with Ron. I think the hardest thing is going to be for Dalvin Cook owners because if Dalvin Cook does play, you have to worry about do they put him on a snap count? Do they kind of use him lightly? And I mean, you have to start him, but the concern is just does he really do what he's projected to do? And does he only put up like RB2 numbers versus what he's capable of?
Yeah. Speaking of other running backs, too, Ron's going to be really happy with this news. The Panthers are very hopeful that Christian McCaffery is going to be back. So let's give him the floor so his big head can gloat.
Come back to me, my friend. I need you. Now that Saquon's up and running, and get Saquon or get CMC back with Saquon playing good football again, I'll start winning some games.
Good thing we have a 3-game lead on you.
Right, yeah. It only took 4 weeks for it to happen.
Yeah, but
and now I lost my best wide receiver for the week, so whatever, I guess.
Not that Calvin Ridley was playing that great this season yet.
That's true.
But I mean, you're in dire straits at that position.
He has such a good team, just none of them have been healthy at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's just
highly inconvenient for him.
It's a lot of fun, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this, Ron. If you were in the situation where you're on a roster like yours and you have 3 strong running backs because that's where you spend all your auction money on, and you're weak at the wide receiver position because you had Calvin Ridley, what's your game plan going into this weekend?
Trading away AJ Green.
Trade away AJ Green to Ryan.
A lot of hoping and praying. A lot of really hoping that CMC and Saquon just have enormous games to offset my wide receiver core, which I don't think is horrible. That's the thing. It's not, but I don't have that guy that's going to go out and put up a 35-point game. There's no wide receiver on my team that's going to supplement the points if my running backs don't perform. That's the problem.
I mean, your best is probably Debo. I think.
Right. I have Debo, and I normally have Calvin Ridley. So
you're lucky as shit that Debo came on this season because he was not expected to.
Pure skill in fantasy knowledge.
Yeah, okay. You drafted because he was there.
I've also got Marvin Jones, who's been solid and could have more target opportunity with DJ Chark going to miss the rest of the year. Like, the pieces are there. No one is doing the thing they're supposed to do all at the same time.
Right.
That's the problem.
All right, we have some comments, and it's nice to actually see some people in the room.
Yeah.
So who do you want to hear from? Do you want to hear from our troll, Edwards, first, or do you want to hear from Mr. Grapefruit?
Please, I want to hear from Edwards first.
All right, so Edward, you were here first, so let's get into what Edward's saying first. And he says we're all right, lads, so let's read this up here. So Edward says, you lads are okay. I traded Travis Kelce away for Cook this week. Oh, shit. Because I wanted a zero running back strategy, which actually is interesting, Edward, because we have an article on that Ron wrote on our website. So go to the website and read that article. I want a zero running back strategy, and it didn't work out. Genius or mad?
I'm about it. I'm with it.
If you went zero RB and it didn't work out and you can get Cook for Kelce, yeah. I mean, Kelce is definitely a game changer at his position, but you can stream the tight end position way easier than you could even potentially try to stream the running back position. You got yourself one of the best running backs in the league for fantasy for Kelce, which I think is a perfect trade. I don't know if I'd say genius because I only refer to myself in that knowledge, but that's fine.
All right. So do we want to hear from the guy with big grapefruits now?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Grapefruit says, I have 2 trade offers out of my 10-team standard league. It says, my Mahomes and CP for his Barkley. And it says, under that, my Mahomes and Marvin Jones for his McLaurin. What do y'all think?
I would like to know what his other depth at quarterback is if he's so. Oh. We'll get to that, Ed. I would like to know what Mr. Grapefruit's other quarterback is if he's so willing to get rid of Mahomes.
Jalen
Hurts. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now it's just a question of which one. Darnold's on the waivers. Okay, I'd pick Darnold up too for my backup after I got rid of Mahomes. So who do we like more, Barkley or McLaurin? I guess I honestly would go with the Mahomes and Marvin Jones for McLaurin because if he's got Cordero Patterson,
which is I agree.
He is.
So break this down for me. For some reason, it's not coming to me. What are the options here? So he's trading away Mahomes, correct?
He can either trade Mahomes and Cordero Patterson for Barkley or Mahomes and Marvin Jones for McLaurin.
I would go with Barkley because he's got the receiving option too. But call me a running back homer here. So I'm disagreeing with their options here. I would trade for Saquon because I think he's going to be getting the bulk of the work there, and they're going to be relying on him. And as you've been seeing the last few weeks, he's healthy. He's getting the work, and that workload is going to continue to get larger. He's performing fantastic the last 2 weeks. So I think I would go with Barkley.
I don't hate either of these trades.
So you have a little bit of a disagreement here, Mr. Grapefruit.
I'm gonna go Barkley just because I think it's more likely that Cordero Patterson could fall
wavering
off a cliff.
bastard.
No, I just thought about it. I think it's more likely for Cordero Patterson to stop doing what he's doing rather than it is for Marvin Jones. I think Marvin Jones will just have more potential.
You're just a homer because he's on your freaking waiver wire.
All right, and
he's on your roster.
Edward Davis said he has Mark Andrews as his backup.
Oh, he's good.
In his Kelce thing. So
yeah, you're in good shape there. Now we have another comment here. Look at all these damn people coming in. We love this, guys. It was supposed to be a freaking show for this
we gotta
weekend.
Answer this one quick. Damian Harris or Alex Collins full PPR?
Ooh,
We got to get this one right, boys.
Oh boy.
Who are the Patriots playing this weekend?
Soft matchup. Houston.
Oh,
I'm going Damian Harris.
Yeah, play Damian Harris.
I'm going Damian Harris. The matchup is better.
Man.
I know we had a really
Harris.
down week last week, but I would go Damian Harris.
And Eli, if we're dead ass wrong, you can leave your hate mail at www.garbagetimeff.com. Leave it as a voicemail. Yell at us. Bring your frustrations out on us. We'll do it. Yes, Harris. Mr. Grapefruit says Harris too. Obviously, that's the direction you have to go.
Yeah.
And I think with those questions, boys, are we ready to get into the games?
We sure are. In just a minute.
It's horrible with the freaking try. All right, so first game we're going to talk about here, since Ron's such a freaking homer, is we're going to talk about the Giants and Cowboys. All right, so
I'm a homer, like I'm the one that picked these games.
Yeah, I picked this game because
it's this show.
It's got I'm the producer because nobody else produces the show. I don't have a damn choice. Someone's got to do it. All right. So in this first game too, you got to point out Sam Darnold looked really good against the Cowboys last week, and historically in his last two games he's looked fantastic against him. Daniel Jones has been playing very good against some pretty subpar defenses too. I think he's a very sneaky good pick, and he's potentially still on a lot of waiver wires. So if you're in dire needs for a quarterback, potentially look Daniel Jones's way. I'm playing him actually in some DFS lineups this week too, so someone else you can potentially do there too. I think on this game, you're going to see Zeke have a very good game too. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to look to establish the run because the Giants have been able to have the running game used against them too. Another question going into it too is, can Dalton Schultz continue to play well? That's the formula that's been working for the Cowboys the last 2 weeks, so I think you're going to still see him have a solid game. And another question I have going into this one, and this one I'm a little bit more skeptical on, is if CeeDee Lamb will actually get going. They seem to be going more towards the running backs and using their tight ends, which is surprising the hell out of me. And I think there's a few guys in their wide receiving core they have to get going right now. And I don't know if it's going to be a CeeDee Lamb kind of week. And someone else considering wide receivers too in this game that might continue their hot hand is Kadarius Toney, because the Giants are going to have to score points in this game. And they're not going to just be able to run the ball too. And that wide receiving core is still banged up as we saw last week. And he could see an uptick in volume this week.
Yeah, I like Kenny Galladay this week too.
He's still injured. I'm not very high on Kenny Galladay this week.
Still injured, but still been having decent weeks.
What were his stats for last week?
I don't have them right on me.
No, oh yeah. So everyone but the producers prepared right now. I produce the show, but you guys can't even have the players up.
I'm actually looking for Daniel Jones's. Well, I wanted to give his finishes for the year because I think he's
the sixth quarterback in the league right now for fantasy football. We understand he's playing good. You had a good prediction earlier in the year. You're looking good.
I was just
Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay, 6 receptions off 7 targets, 116 yards, 17.6 points in PPR. So I'm about it.
You say 17 last week? He had 17 points.
Mm-hmm.
So in week 4, I know that the Giants had the most passes that were 15 plus yards, and that's
he was averaging 19 per reception.
Yeah, that's kind of how this offense has been playing. A lot of deep shots downfield. It's almost like they're doing some body punches early, getting the defense to bite up a little bit, and then just trying to bomb it down the field a little bit more. It's I'm happy to see it working the way it is.
Do you guys actually think that they have a shot this weekend to beat the Cowboys?
I say yes. I do. The Cowboys defense is vastly improved as to what it was last year. I still think it's bottom half, but Trayvon Diggs is playing very good football right now. Micah Parsons is doing all right on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I think that their defense is very reliant on turnovers. And so far, got to give him his credit. Daniel Jones has had 1 interception on the year, and it was at the end of the half where he just Hail Married it down the field. So I don't even really count it.
Man,
he looks so
we
good.
We are showering him with glory. So I'm just waiting so hard for him to fuck this up. And I could just see this being the game because I'm playing him in some DFS lines because he's still a cheap option this week. And the potential and the writing is on the wall here. Dallas allows a lot of points to any quarterback that's playing against them. And Daniel Jones has been scoring a lot. So I'm like, it's an obvious pick here, especially if I'm going more expensive for DFS in my other lineups here too. Is this the game he just jacks it up?
Oh,
I don't. You may think so, and in your gut it tells you, but I don't think you need the game.
And I've got him started in a few leagues. It was like him or Ryan Tannehill. And it's like, do I start Daniel Jones, who's been on a hot streak against a softer defense, or Ryan Tannehill, who's going to possibly be missing his top 2 wide receivers again? Like, it's Daniel Jones.
How do we feel about Amari Cooper this week?
So what you were saying about them running the ball a lot and, it looks like they're a run-first team, I think they're very good at knowing what their opponent's weaknesses are. So if their opponent gives up the ball to running backs and tight ends, they're going there. So at any week, you could see these wide receivers just fall off a cliff, and that's kind of what you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Week 1 against Tampa Bay, you're not running against Tampa Bay. So what they do, they spread the ball out and threw the ball like crazy. And then the last 2 weeks, they were playing defenses with soft, run defenses. So they ran the ball a lot.
Ryan, did you still have a thought on that too? I think you still had something you wanted to add before that.
Yeah, so Diggs has been pretty good, and I think he's going to be who's on Kenny Golladay probably. But Diggs did give up a pretty big game to I think he was on this last week. He was covering DJ Moore quite a bit, and DJ Moore had a pretty solid game. So
DJ Moore's just been having a fantastic season as their number one wide receiver for Panthers too.
Kenny Galladay's not more, but still.
Let's not forget Kenny Golladay is a very good wide receiver. Going into last year, people haven't. I'm just saying, going into last year, people had him projected as a top 5 fantasy wide receiver.
No, top 10. I had him projected as a top 10. You may have had him at 5.
No, I'm saying other people had him as a top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like people that have been doing this way longer than me and you.
Don't care. That's what's important, right?
But I mean, he's a very good route runner, and he's very good at just snatching the ball out of the air, whether he's covered or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he could still have an okay game. But look for Kadarius Toney again. I don't think Shepard or Slayton play. Look for Kadarius Toney to have another decent game in this one.
Cheap ass DFS option too.
Yes.
Not just in your regular fantasy leagues, also in your DFS. Cheap, effective, and he's seeing volume, which is going to lead to success down the season. So which game would you guys like to cover next? The Bills and Chiefs or the 49ers and Cardinals?
Sure, Bills and Chiefs.
All right, so we'll go right down the list here too. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on this game? And then I'll give my lineup as to what's going on with it.
Well, and I know you had mentioned it before we went live. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
The line is 59 points right now, and I could see it going above that.
Yeah, I think it's going to go above that. I think you're going to see a big game from a lot of the receivers. I don't know if I love the rushing, and I know like Clyde Edwards-Helaire these past 2 or 3 weeks has really come on, but I think this might be the week where people start him and he puts up a single-digit numbers because the Bills' run defense is really good.
It is, but I think they might use him more as the balancing act, if you will, for this game too. I think Travis Kelce's been off for a few weeks, and I think he's going to get going. He had a big game against the Bills in the playoffs last year, and I think he's going to again here. And I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire could have a difficult game, but I think he's going to get a lot of carries for them to keep Josh Allen off the field too, just as they will use the running game on the Bills side to keep Patrick Mahomes on the field. I think it'll be high scoring, but you'll see the running games involved in this. So the outlook that I saw. Go ahead.
I think one of the biggest things I'm looking at too is I want to see how Dawson Knox does again this week. Coming off a huge monster game last week, so it'll be interesting to see if that was a flash in the pan or if he is a viable tight end in fantasy.
Yeah, he has been the last few weeks. I believe he's got 3 touchdowns in 4 weeks, which is pretty incredible considering that they didn't really use the tight end position that effectively the year before. Something else I wanted to bring up too. Yeah, no kidding. I really believe that Singletary and Zach Moss are going to be viable this week because they're going to be looking to slow shit down this week. They don't want Patrick Mahomes on the field. The Ravens showed that's the formula to slow that game down. So they're going to look to use the running game. Obviously, it was Lamar Jackson, but the Bills want to slow that shit down. And we have another question here from Carmine23. If I traded Cook, what do you think I can get?
I guess my question is, why are you trading Cook?
He's worried about the injuries.
Yeah. Or what are you weak somewhere? Like, what are you really looking for?
Edward Davis, I think Carmine, I believe Edward Davis has got an answer for you. He said, I gave Kelsey for Cook this week. So he's going 0 RB. Carmine, I think we need some more information. Give us a little bit more description on your roster. Is it more running back heavy, tight end heavy? My receivers are trash. That's a little bit telling.
Okay. I mean,
then you go for one of the top wide receivers.
Yeah.
Top 10 wide receivers.
5.
If not a little bit more.
You should be able to get 2 pieces, especially with Cook there. Go for someone on the back end of that. Potentially, maybe someone already mentioned it in this. Maybe a Terry McLaurin and another piece. Someone else that could potentially be stolen, and where you could get 2 very good pieces is maybe Robinson, who may perform with Justin Fields on the field now, and another heavy piece there, someone that's maybe a little bit more proven.
Especially if there's someone in your league that has garbage running backs, that would jump on it.
Or find the Vikings fan and go get another running back that you're trusting a little bit more, like an Alvin Kamara. I don't know if you can get Alvin Kamara for him, but I've seen that trade a few times too. Someone else you could potentially do too. But
that trade just happened in my league.
See, I'm
guessing if his receivers are trash, he probably wants receivers. So definitely, I would definitely go look and see who's suffering from running backs. You know, like maybe the Montgomery owner who. There's something. What about that? Go to the Montgomery owner, unless it's you.
It could be the case.
Trade. I know it's an injury. Trade for Montgomery and get a receiver. The guy is probably hurting for running back because he lost Montgomery. Trade for Montgomery and one of a top 10 wide receiver that he has on his team.
Yes, because Montgomery is a fucking gummy bear. Is going to come back from injury in a week or 2 and be fine. So you could probably get him and then a high-end wide receiver from that team. So I think that's a great option. That's actually a good point, Ron.
I'm so smart.
Oh, my God. He's actually got a smart point once in a while.
Unless it doesn't work out, and then I'm pretty sure JJ said it.
Yeah, if not, JJ will be talking shit about this next week. And if you guys want some waiver advice, go watch his short that came out this morning, too, on a certain other Bears running back that isn't necessarily picked off of waivers, but it's the second one behind the back up there that you could potentially stash and bench for a week to see what's going on. So just an interesting thought.
All right, let's move on to these things. We got a game to watch in 13 minutes. Or wait, is Thursday night the 8:15 or the 8:20?
8:30, dude. Probably 8:20. Don't give a shit. Let's get to this game.
I don't know why they all have to start at different times. Like,
yeah,
why can't all the primetime games start at the same time?
But listen, so something else on Montgomery, though. They said potentially 3 to 5 weeks. He comes back from injuries pretty well. So if it's 3 weeks, make sure you get a high-end wide receiver if you do trade for him, because he's just the perceived throw-in piece, but he might help you towards the end when you're going towards playoffs. So don't get me wrong. We're not saying that David Montgomery is the end-all be-all here. He may not do shit for you. You don't know that. But make sure you get that receiver and him. So just a thought. Anyway, more onto the Bills and Chiefs game here, too. So I was talking about Singletary and Zach Moss potentially having big weeks. I think both are viable here. I think Singletary will get the work. Zach Moss could potentially get the touchdowns. And I think Josh Allen could obviously rush in. Yeah, especially for this week.
Yeah.
Ron, do you have any thoughts on this?
It's a shootout. Start all your people.
What about Josh Gordon? I say no, but what are your thoughts on him?
No.
Not yet.
No, you got to wait. You got to wait and see his usage.
Yeah. Yeah, he said shh. But anyway, yeah, I said with Josh Gordon, he's nothing but a bench option right now. Historically, the wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs the last 4 or 5 years do nothing from that position. He's a wait-and-see approach. He's very, very talented and more talented than anyone that they've had at the number 2 spot. But we just don't know, and the history hasn't been on that side there. So with that, we're going to get into the next game that we have, 49ers and Cardinals. So my thoughts on this game were, it really matters if Jimmy G or Trey Lance are starting in this game, because if Jimmy G is starting in it, the Cardinals are going to obviously put up a lot of points, and I think both are viable, but I think this offense is going to click a lot better with Trey Lance there. That could be more detrimental to the wide receivers on these teams, and I think they might go more run heavy. But if Trey Lance is starting, look at what the hell he did last week. in a game where he scored 25 points and didn't even really know what was going on with the offense because he wasn't part of the game plan. Imagine what he would do with a game plan against this kind of a team. Somewhere where they need to score points, he's going to feel pressure to score points. He could be in for a big-ass week if you actually have to play Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I think they're definitely going to have to play catch-up. I think the Cardinals are going to have a really good game yet again. They're the only undefeated team left. I don't believe that ends this week.
No, and some more questions with this game, too. Who on the fucking Cardinals carousel is going to be good this week? Is it going to be AJ Green, Kirk, or Rondale Moore? My gut's telling me Christian Kirk this week. AJ Green has been consistent for the last 2 weeks, too. He's more viable. I think Rondale Moore is the odd one out again this week. Can you take your chance on any of them? Absolutely, you can. Hopkins is a must-play in this game, too. Some more questions with the 49ers is where's the consistency going to come from? Ayuk's been horrible this year except for one game where he was all right. Kittle's been inconsistent, and the only consistent player on that offense has been Deebo Samuel, who's been an absolute monster this year.
Yeah,
it's Deebo until Deebo proves otherwise, I guess. Honestly, you can't bench him. There's no way. So until he has a couple bad games in a row and it's very clearly going to someone else, you kind of have to play Deebo.
Are you guys comfortable with any other of the 49ers weapons here?
I know Kittle has been disappointing.
You still have to play him. He's still considered a proverbial top 3 tight end in the league.
He's not going to get you 0 points.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, like, everybody wants that breakout game with the touchdown. True, but also not getting 0 points is a good thing.
And something else interesting to note here, too, with Kittle. If a rookie quarterback's coming in, too, they're going to be looking for a security blanket. Why not throw to the biggest effing guy that you have on the offense, like George Kittle? Something else to consider.
Last I heard, they haven't ruled Eli Mitchell out yet.
I believe it's still trending him being out, though. I think they're still going to go with Trey Sermon.
I still think he is out. But also remember, yes, Trey Sermon may be the starting running back. Kyle Juszczyk was in on 80% of snaps last week. Like, I know he's a fullback, so he was probably in there with Trey Sermon sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And look for those bullshit end-arounds to Deebo Samuel and Ayuk to happen if they're in.
Sermon is a start, but he's a flex start.
I think he's a low-end wide receiver 2 right now.
Trey Sermon?
Yes.
He's a running back.
I meant running back, sorry. I haven't had enough caffeine tonight. I've been up since 4. Give me a break.
I don't even think he's a running back 2. I think he's a flex.
I wouldn't go that far on him. I think he's still shown that he can carry the load there. But yeah, Kyle Juszczyk being on the field is a giant concern there. Kyle Shanahan does not like to go for the mold for fantasy teams here too. He likes to F with you every single week. I have put a lot of work into this offense for my team because I thought the 49ers offense was going to be prolific. And something else you got to remember here too, if Trey Lance starts, he runs the ball himself. That may take away from the work of these other guys and actually get some of the running work too. Slightly
especially
concerning.
In the red zone.
Yeah, no shit. Where he may actually just run it in himself. I'm excited and concerned for Trey Lance to start. For the other players that I have on the 49ers on my roster. Do you guys have any other thoughts on this game, such as the running back positions for the Cardinals, Chase Edmonds and his thief of a partner there in touchdowns?
Yeah. Chase Edmonds is the guy until it comes to the goal line, and then it's James Conner.
Are either viable this week?
Probably Chase Edmonds just in PPR because he is going to get the passing down work. If you're in a pinch, you can put James Conner in there and just hope for the touchdown.
All right. Any more thoughts on this game, boys?
Nope.
I don't know if you guys mentioned him, but I like AJ Green coming into this. He's been doing pretty well on that team. He's right behind Hopkins. I think 4 fantasy points behind him. He's been getting a lot of looks, so I do like AJ Green.
All right, let's interrupt that thought right here. This guy needs some help because Alex Collins is on this thought here, so he needs to make a decision quick. He needs some PPR help. CAH, Alex Collins, Zach Moss, Damian Harris.
I say CEH and Damian Harris.
Yeah, that's my
Damian
picks
Harris
too.
because of the matchup, CEH because of the offense.
If we screwed you over and you need to pick, www.garbagetimeff.com, leave a voicemail.
I'm going to
Yell
be
at
a
us if
little
we're wrong.
different, and I'll say Zach Moss and Damian Harris are the two I'd pick.
I think CEH and Damian Harris for the week.
So you got
Just
two
for the fact that
CEH and Damian
both
Harris,
starters.
one Zach Moss and Damian Harris. Now there's this one. Should I trade Tyler Boyd and Zach Moss for Kareem Hunt and Henry Ruggs? Yes.
Absolutely, you should. That is a slam dunk trade, I think, for you.
Tyler Boyd has had 2 really good games, but T. Higgins is coming back, and those good games won't be as good anymore.
And not only that, Kareem Hunt is actually pacing quicker than he was last year, which a lot of people don't know, and it's under the radar right now. And Henry Ruggs has been consistent for the Raiders, which I did not think was going to happen this year. That is a fantastic trade for you.
I would make that trade 100 times out of 100 times.
All right, boys, let's move on to our next game here, too. So we've got the Browns and the Chargers, which is a very interesting game because these are good defenses. As we said, Baker Mayfield is hurt, not playing that well. So I think these teams are going to depend on the run a lot this game. Well, the proverbial run for the Chargers who kind of pass out of the backfield. But do you think this Browns offense can stop Mike Williams?
Well, the Browns defense stopping Mike Williams, is that what you said?
Yes.
No.
I think Mike Williams had a bad game last week. I think the Raiders defense stopped him. So do I think it's possible? Yes, it is possible. Do I think Mike Williams could easily come back and have a good game? Yes, I do. Like, every wide receiver has bad games. Every single one of them. So you definitely have to weigh your options. Look at the matchup. The Browns defense has been good.
Yeah, I don't think you're weighing your options with starting Mike Williams. You're starting Mike Williams.
No, you got to start Mike Williams, yeah, but
although you might be weighing your options with someone on the other side, Odell Beckham, with the injury.
Do you think Julio is going to play? I don't.
My gut says yes. I think he
hasn't
will.
Practiced yet. AJ Brown has already started practicing.
Nope. Don't start with that bullshit. Julio has historically never practiced, and that's never affected him. He was out 1 week. I think he's going to play, so watch that. Ron says no. I say yes. What do you say, Ryan?
I'm gonna say I don't think he does. I don't think he plays.
Well, I think you both are wrong, but that's nice. Anyway, Ron, what was your for now? So
I kind of forgot what I was saying.
2-1, they say he's not. I say he will. So, but make sure you have a backup option if you're agreeing with me, which will be right. Anyway, so what we were talking about with that, I think someone on the other side has a little bit more of a concern. Odell Beckham in this game. He has played all right since coming back, but like we said, Baker Mayfield is hurt, and the Chargers have a sneaky good defense. I don't know if they're going to play very well on that side of the ball this week. Thoughts, or are we just going to, sit in silence with our crew
100%.
here?
I was messaging, so I 100% did not. I did not hear what you were saying.
He's just loving all the fans actually in the chat room. He's like, holy shit, people are actually talking to us. I love this. It's so funny.
But
so anyway,
I'm trying to,
help
be
them
a
out.
good host here. I'm trying to be a good host by completely ignoring the show, if that makes sense.
So you answer those questions, and I'll leave this for Ryan then.
Okay.
Ryan, is Odell going to have a successful week against the Chargers with Baker Mayfield's injury?
I say no. Nope. And then I think Odell came out too and said that he has like a weird knee injury, but he hasn't wanted to get surgery on it. He's had it for a while, so it clearly hasn't affected him a ton. But I don't think he has a good week this week.
And I agree with that thought too. I think you're going to see the formula for the Browns be this week what it's been every single week, which is hopefully good defense. That's what they want. They've been a suffocating defense and a great run game between Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb getting those hard yards and Kareem Hunt getting those nice volume passes out of the back. But that has been the formula for him. It's not going to change this week. Why the hell would they change it if it hasn't stopped working?
Well, and an interesting tidbit, I just saw this note, is that defense has... So they've held Terry McLaurin, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper to under 85 scoreless yards apiece each.
So you're hearing that, folks. If you have Odell, it sounds like you're going to want to move off somewhere else because Odell right now is currently looking like a wide receiver 2 on the low end, wide receiver 3, and I think you might have better options on your roster if you've built it correctly. So look at other options, potentially like a Marvin Jones, who could have a very good week against the Titans, who have a horrible ass secondary. Ron, do you have any thoughts now that you're, popular on the chat?
It's just because I don't know how to spell. I'm trying to type something and it's not working.
I'm from upstate New York and I can't spell. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then you just correct it right after.
Yeah, that's spelled wrong. Yeah, definitely go away from Odell Beckham. I think they're going to run the ball. Yeah, don't start on Odell. Who are they playing?
Are you fucking kidding me?
The Chargers, sorry.
Asshole.
You definitely got to start your Chargers players. Keenan,
you call yourself
Eckler.
The host of the show.
Look, I'm really taken aback by all the people we got in the chat. It's amazing, and I love every minute of it. Thank you for being a part of the Heckling Fandom. It's amazing. Shout out to all of you.
Yep. And when we make all these wrong predictions, you guys start off next week, come back and yell at us because we'll get more popular off it.
Yeah. Like, seriously, I don't care if you guys are yelling at me or not. I love it. It's amazing.
Ron's never going to fucking talk on these shows anywhere. He's just going to go right into the comments. All right. So, Ron, do you have any thoughts about the Browns and Chargers game since you're obviously not paying attention? And then me and Ryan will discuss our wild card game because you aren't paying attention to F at all.
No. Yeah, I already said, start all your Chargers. You got to start Nick Chubb. You got to start Kareem Hunt. I wouldn't start any wide receivers or tight ends from the Browns. I would just do the two running backs. For the Chargers, you start all your normal Chargers.
By the way, should I start Murray or Herbert?
Oh, no, that's so hard.
Oof.
You got to go rushing upside with Murray, right?
It's not even a question for me. I'd start Murray.
Yeah, you got to go Murray.
Here's the thing. He's talking about Herbert for the rookie from Chicago, right?
No, he's talking about Justin Herbert, I think. He's talking about Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler
Murray or Justin. Oh,
that's what I'm thinking.
No, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray. No doubts.
It's got to be Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I love that you have both on your roster. That's effing fantastic. If you have some random third option there, I don't know who you would start over the two, and it's a 2-quarterback league. Good for you. Just start those two. But Kyler Murray.
Listen, it's not a 2-quarterback league.
That game has high potential to be a high-scoring game because the 49ers have a good offense there too. Start Kyler Murray. And the defense for Cleveland is good. Doesn't mean that Herbert's not going to play well in that game, but much better defense there with Cleveland.
All right, boys. Do we want to skip our wild card and go right into the DFS?
No, absolutely.
Time.
Are you not having fun with this? You can miss a few freaking minutes of it for your fans here.
I always have time for everything.
Fine. All right. So I'll go over my wild card game really quick then. All right. And then you can do yours and then we'll get through the rest of the shit quick. Okay.
Ryan could do his first. I've got to pick mine.
Oh, that's great. Anyway, so I'll go into mine. My game here is the Titans versus Jaguars. And my thoughts behind this and why I picked it as a wild card game is, man, that Titans defense looks like absolute shit. And Zach Wilson made them look horrible last week, which is not good. So Trevor Lawrence is a good flex play and on many waiver wires this week. Someone you could potentially play if you're in a pinch at the quarterback position. Also, I think Marvin Jones could have a pretty damn good week too. Robinson had a solid game last week. He's actually becoming a good part of the game plan. Don't get me wrong. I understand that stable for the Jaguars is getting a little bit more healthy, and Urban Meyer just kind of throws shit to the wind and doesn't necessarily play his best players. But I think Robinson has proven himself to Urban Meyer, and I think you will still see him as a big part of the game plan on that side too. Also, a sneaky DFS play this week too is Josh Reynolds, especially if Julio doesn't play. I do think he will play, but if he doesn't, he is a cheap option that you can play against the Jaguars, who have a horrible defense. So, yeah, horrible team in general. But watch if Julio is going to play or not. I believe we have another question right here. Was it? And I have Derek.
Who he has.
Oh, no, that's just a comment. We'll just bring that down and let Ron handle that and let Ryan get into his wild card game.
Yeah, on your wild card game, I also really like Chenault for the Jaguars, especially with DJ Shark being out. So give him a look. I didn't pick a wild card game, so I'll just go Patriots versus the Texans. The Texans suck. Matt Jones looked pretty good against a much better defense this past week. I like Jacoby Myers. I think he's the go-to guy there. We've mentioned Damian Harris a couple times, so I definitely like starting Jacoby Myers. I don't know if I love Bourne yet, but Bourne's been getting a lot of work too. On the Texans side, I think you basically have Brandon Cooks, and that's probably it.
Yeah, no, I like all your evaluations there. Do not start an effing player from the Texans and just start your Patriots. It's an easy thought. Just throw them right in there. It'll be fine. What do you think about Taylor there, the guy that's going to be potentially replacing James White?
You mean Brandon Bolden?
Brandon Bolden, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Come on, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even. I don't want to hear shit from you. You're just like staring at all the comments. Oh my God, these people like to talk to me now.
As a
exciting.
fantasy, from a fantasy perspective, I think I would much rather see Damian Harris get more of the work and more of the passing work, but it'll be kind of a wait and see to see what Bill Belichick decides to do.
It's gonna be Bolden.
Which is gonna hurt Damian Harris's value quite a bit. But
hot take: Jags over Titans. Is it really that much of a hot take if that secondary is that bad? I don't think it would be.
I almost called that in our picks.
I
almost called it, dude.
So I say
to the Jets.
That is a lukewarm take, but it could happen.
Yeah, they did lose to the Jets, so I mean.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be an extreme take.
No,
but I like it.
I do like it. I almost called it.
And Trevor Lawrence is a cheap option in DFS too, going up against that secondary. Something else to keep in mind. So, Ron, you actually have an effing game now?
I do. I'm going to do the Bears and the Raiders just because I want to
not here.
No, I want to see the Bears offense again. They started off strong, but they ended up getting a big lead and not having to throw the ball anymore. I mean,
Mooney's
they started
looking
off Mooney's looking good. I want to see if Robinson picks it up. I want to see Justin Fields if he gets to throw the ball more. I want to see how it looks. Not hot take Chargers over Browns. And I want to see this Raiders defense some more because they looked good last week, even though they lost. They've looked good all year. I think this will just be a good game to watch. I think it'll be a really good watchable game.
Yeah, no, that'll be a fun and interesting game to watch. I mean, you have the backup running back going to that, and Justin Fields is actually going to go in with a comfortable game plan where he's not going to be worried about Andy Dalton taking the job from him now too. So I could see them actually having a very productive game there too. I think the Raiders will give them a hell of a game, but I could actually see the Bears coming out and winning this game. It won't be that disaster that they had from 2 weeks ago, unless Matt Nagy shoots himself in the foot like he tends to when things seem to be going right. But who knows? He's not Adam Gase, so maybe he'll actually come around.
All right.
No, Adam Gase is sitting right over here next to me. Actually, it would be this way.
Stop it. Oh, my goodness. All right, we're getting into lightning round DFS.
Let's do that shit. I'm pulling up my damn lineup so you two start.
I'm pulling up my damn lineup so Ryan start.
All right, I got
you.
So my
That's
lineup,
the wrong lineup.
At starting quarterback, I went with Justin Herbert against the Browns. Not a super expensive option, so I went with him. He's been pretty solid this season. Running backs, Derrick Henry. Basically, when you look at fantasy for running backs, you basically got Derrick Henry, a huge gap, and everybody else. So I think
and then Damian Harris at the bottom.
Yeah. And then I took Damian Williams, hoping that he gets a ton of work filling in for Montgomery there. Wide receiver, I went Shenault. Like I mentioned, I do like him, especially with DJ Shark being out. Nuts, I went AJ Green. I brought him up as well. He's right behind Hopkins as far as targets and fantasy points go. After that, I went Mike Williams, just because the dude puts up points. And then for tight end, I went Cameron Brate. Gront's out, injured. Brate was a really cheap option, and I could see Brady still trying to use that tight end position.
Yeah, Brate did real good. Brate did real good last week.
Hey, it was just him getting a feel for it, so he's gonna bounce back this week. Especially and then we could talk about it after I beat you in Draft Kings this week. Then next we got Antonio Brown in my flex spot, and then I went Minnesota Vikings defense.
You're not going to beat me there.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I too picked the Minnesota Vikings defense. I'm going to go Daniel Jones. Still, for the way he's been playing, still very cheap at 6,000. Playing the Cowboys, who are not great against the pass.
Sam Darnold worked out for me last week, so I don't see why you wouldn't go with that option.
I went real cheap at running back. I went Damian Williams at 5,600 and Damian Harris at 5,500. I think they both could have solid games. Shouldn't kill me, but probably aren't going to win me the week. But that afforded me the money to go Devontae Adams, Deontay Johnson, and Jamar Chase as my wide receivers. I think Jamar Chase has a really good game. The Packers are going to be without Jair Alexander. I don't believe
plays into my lineup.
I don't believe T. Higgins is back this week. My tight end, I got Evan Ingram, cheap option. In my flex, CeeDee Lamb. He plays the Giants. James Bradbury is good, but he will still give up points. He's really good in coverage. I do like him as a corner, but he can get sloppy, and he doesn't always follow people around the field. And then, like I said, Vikings D for 3,000 just because they're playing the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of similarities between your guys' lineups, and mine's a little bit of a mix of both, but just in a few spots. And I do like both of those lineups, so I don't have too much to shit on there. Harris, like I said, I think he'll have an average week. I don't know if he's got that boom bust potential that you like on an upside, especially in a DFS lineup. If there's a ton of players and you're going up against potentially tens of thousands, no, but in a smaller lineup, I like Harris. But anyway, my lineup for the week, because I was talking to Angry Christian and I had to pull it right down, so I am totally distracted right now. I've got Joe Burrow at 6,100. You brought up the point I wanted to too. Jair Alexander, the shutdown corner for Green Bay, is out in this game. The Packers score a lot of points. Joe Burrow is only 6,100 and a very cheap option. Next, I'm going with the Yeti Derrick Henry at 9,000, who is going to absolutely trounce Jacksonville just like he did the Jets last week. After that, I've got Austin Eckler, who scored 35 points last week going up against Cleveland. They're going to look to have a good established running game with a guy that also passes. They need that solid block, so Austin Eckler is going to hopefully have a good week too. Next, I'm going with Jamar Chase. Like I said, that secondary is banged up for Green Bay. It's going to be a high-scoring game, and Jamar Chase is only 5,800, and I spent a lot on my running backs in these spots, so I need cheaper options. Next, I went with a surprise, Devontae Parker for Miami. Here's the reason. 5,400, he's going up against the 31st worst defense against passing right now. That would be the New England Patriots, and they didn't look horrible against New England in week 1, too. So I'm going to go with the formula and hope Devontae Parker has a good week. Next, Antonio Brown at 5,200, another decently cheap option going up against Miami. I think he's got breakout potential for this week. Dan Arnold played very well for Jacksonville, and he just got traded there. He's going to have a full week under that game plan too. Urban Meyer likes using tight ends. 2,900, he's a great value for DFS if you've spent all your money. So look for Dan Arnold to potentially have a good week. Next, Williams from Chicago. Montgomery's banged up. He's going to be the workhorse there, and he's a fairly cheap running back at 5,600. And because I've got no damn money left, and I'm expecting this defense to bounce back against New Orleans, I went with the Washington Football's defense at 2,300.
I almost went there.
That's the only way I could because I had no money left.
I almost went there, but I'm like, I like this other one a little bit better.
I believe Edward still had another thought here you were bringing up here. It said Chenault ended up being a steal at his ADP for the draft and Charks went down. He should see plenty of targets. And yes, we do agree with that. Him getting plenty of targets, especially with Chark going down, makes him potentially a good option too.
Yeah. And Marvin Jones, because if Chenault starts breaking out, he's going to get all the coverage. And Marvin Jones has already shown that he can handle a heavy workload.
It's defensive dominator time, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, and I actually have one. It's really easy.
Drop.
Oh, I got a drop.
Do the drop. What the hell are you doing?
I got a drop.
Jeez, Ron gets people talking to him in the comments and he forgets how to do a damn show. My God.
So I don't remember who my other ones were per previous weeks. I feel like I just keep attacking the same team. But my defensive dominator is the New England Patriots against the Houston Texans. And I might have to go back and listen because I think I picked the team that went against Houston Texans every time.
Why not?
It's not a bad strategy to just stream whoever's playing the Texans that week.
The first week I actually was the 49ers against the Lions.
Oh, so sorry. You picked on 2 teams the first 5 weeks.
Right.
So if they're on your waivers, pick them up. Potentially the Patriots could be because people were worried about them playing the Bucs last week. So they may have been dropped. Potentially the Patriots were there. Doesn't mean they weren't picked up during waivers, but take a look. If you need a defense, that's a potential good one because my defensive dominator of the week, you're not going to believe it. It's the Patriots against Houston. For the only reason that General Mills is a horrible-ass quarterback right now as a rookie. Doesn't mean he won't be decent down the line, but he sure as shit is not right now. And they are going to absolutely destroy the Texans this week, which Ryan likes to hear coming off that horrible loss to Tom Brady last week.
Yeah, I cried a little bit. Tears.
Horrible loss. That's...
Dung.
Do you got a defensive dominator, Ryan?
The Patriots. Yeah, I just went with whoever Houston was playing.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So I believe that is all for us today. Make sure you go over to our website, www.garbagetimeff.com. You can see everywhere we are available over there, including including these YouTube videos. We are available on Spotify. Please go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Minnesota, who they playing? Lions?
Yeah,
that's
a great streamer too.
Yeah, that's good too.
Anyway, where else can you find us?
I forgot where iTunes or iHeartRadio. Are we on Pandora yet?
No, we're not. Still working on that.
Pandora. I don't want to be on them anymore.
Google, Apple, TuneIn, iHeartRadio.
Those are the ones.
Simplecast, www.garbagetimeff.com. You can find us there. What were you saying?
That's the best way to find anywhere we're located is just www.garbagetimeff.com. We've got all the links to go wherever we are located over there.
There is so many. There's like 20 things we're on.
Yeah.
And there's also another.
I'm getting it, Joseph.
Don't give a shit. I'm going to mute you.
Don't forget to check out our sister podcast that Ryan hosts. Garbage Time presents the MMA podcast. I don't think they've had real bad picks at all.
No, the last 2 weeks they've been absolutely fantastic. If you would have actually gone with their lineups, you would have won money in DFS. So go over to their shows and listen to them because guess what? You might get to see Casey Anderson's stomach pretty soon if they start doing it live.
Oh, man.
And you'll actually have good MMA picks. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Ryan, you guys doing the show this week?
Yep. We're going to do a show tomorrow for Saturday night's fights. We'll also probably dabble into the boxing a little bit. Have a huge boxing event coming up Saturday. Tyson Fury versus Wilder 3. So we'll touch base on that a little bit as well.
And Ron, you've got something in the comments right here too about going live at 11:30.
Oh yeah, on Sunday. Again, this is not a guaranteed thing. So Edward, don't hurt me if I'm not on at exactly 11:30 on Sunday. But around 11:30 on Sunday, 11:30 Eastern, I do like to try to get on here live. I like to try to go over who's in, who's out, and some start sits. If we get people in here to ask some questions, I will answer them for you on air before the game start. We never start on time.
You might actually get your lineup in.
Right. All right. We got anything else, guys?
No, I think we're good. Let's go watch some damn football. Seahawks versus Rams.
Thank you for being a part of the Heckling Fandom. All you guys that asked us questions on the thing. It was a great time.
You can also leave comments under the YouTube and we'll answer it during the week too.
Loved having you here. Have a good night.